All right, welcome everybody. It's September 28th. This is now our first week of meeting since the Leap upgrade. And with the goal now is to start planning for the next upgrade, which might be as soon as 6 months away. Another potential consensus upgrade on the horizon that we can start preparing for. Before we jump into that, maybe we can just quickly get a read in the room on how things are going now that we're upgraded to Leap. The day after, we had a quick catch up to check how things are going, and we did note that there's a few exchanges that had some of the big ones that had paused deposits and withdrawals as they were getting some of their infrastructure updated. Some of them still using the old depreciated V1 history. As far as I know, the two big ones that we were discussing, Binance and Bitfinex, seem to now be back in business, from what I can tell. Binance for sure, we've been testing that ourselves, and as far as I know, Bitfinex as well. I'm not sure if anyone else out there has been in touch with anyone or experienced any downtime or anything else to report coming out of the upgrade.
Also, Bittrex is up and running. We were able to get confirmation from them. And Big Go, I was able to get confirmation from them as well that they are up and running as well. So I think so far so good. And I think Coinbase is working, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Coinbase was working from the they were ready as far as I know, like instantly.
Yeah. So I think the major ones are okay and they're working. I confirmed with Big Go. They said that they actually help with Bullish. So if they want to upgrade, they can be able to help them. But they didn't go too much into details. But pretty much they said the developers there said that they work with them as well. Hotcoin updated. CEX.io also updated. They are now working on possibly listing EOS USDT. It's something that I was able to talk to one of the owners about. They said within 1 or 2 weeks, but I can't promise anything. But that's something that they're also working on. Let me see. OKEX. Let me see what OKEX said. Okay, they said that they were upgrading, but they didn't give me 100% confirmation. But some of them, once they are okay, they don't, talk back because they feel confident that everything is fine. So far, I think that one is okay. Let me see. I think those are like, Big Get is okay. They updated. They also gave me confirmation, so that's good. Yeah. So far, some of them are okay. The ones that were asking a lot of questions, they're able to upgrade successfully. But as always, if any community member is having problems or not being able to withdraw or deposit, they can let us know so that at least we can focus a lot more on that exchange and try to give them help.
Excellent. All right. Anyone else anything to report on before we move on? I see we have some software related news from the ENF we can move to next. But before we do that, any other comments on how the upgrade went? I think it went, like, all things considered, I think it went very smoothly. Obviously, there was a few exchanges that had to pause service. But given the complexity of this upgrade, it was, forking from an old version of EOSIO. If you're running 2.1, you're going to have a bad time. Got to go from 2.0. Depreciating of the V1 history solution and a rebrand, all happening at the same time. So despite all that complexity, I think it went very smoothly.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and perhaps an opportunity, we can maybe do a retrospective and put a little kind of post-mortem we'll write about, something we can work on with the team to make sure we're even better prepared for the next one. But the next one, the conditions are vastly different. Should be a simpler upgrade. So yeah, I would just say congrats to everyone. Thank you everyone for your engagement, and let's get ready for the next one. Let's move on then to Stephen. Yeah, sounds like there's some news on the software side. We've got a patch out. Can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, so just a little bit of cleanup for the most part. Honestly, a couple of silly bugs here and there, but just did a wave of patch releases over the last week. Leap went out last week, and then we got CDT and the EOS system contracts released yesterday. I don't think that there's anything too critical to really touch on. Just would, of course, recommend using the most up-to-date versions. I think maybe with CDT, the inconsistency in the ABI generated for map is the one main reason I think we'd want people to update. I can't speak to the exact details of it, but I think that it was just some sort of inconsistency with the ABIs being generated by a previous version. So just recommended that we upgrade to the latest version. But that's about it from us. The only other thing that I'll make mention of that I don't think needs too much discussion today, but we are planning the release of a version 3.2, and the RC1 of that, I would assume we're probably going to be looking at as soon as late next week or the week thereafter. I don't think that this, of course, requires nearly as much hand-holding and coordination, but a lot of that release is just going to be centered around a lot of the backport work that OCI has been helping us out with. And then we are going to be releasing a little bit more tooling in the form of a new thing that our teammate Vlad's been working on called leap-util. And it's really just meant to help manage all of the various commands across a number of the different services being used. I can drop a link to kind of the scope of that as well if anyone's interested. But that's all we've got going on technology side.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm putting the links to the updates here, the patches in the notes here that we can share more broadly. Yeah, and any info on the 3.2, is that right? So what you guys are working on now?
So it would be 3.2.0 RC1, and I would assume over the next couple of weeks, there's a few bugs that we're just working on trying to squeeze in at this point, and then we're just doing a little bit of discussion around like the scope of what all leap-util will do as the MVP. There's basically a snapshotting related feature that we're either trying to get in or just release without for V1.
Great. Any and timelines? Any timelines around that, or not at this time?
In terms of the decision there, we had discussed yesterday that we're just going to touch base tomorrow in our refinement session and just kind of see how everything's kind of lining up with both leap-util. And then there's, again, one bug that we had discussed yesterday afternoon, and just trying to see the timeline and actual scope of that bug. It may be just a couple of places where we need to do a fix, but Kevin right now is looking into just the full breadth of that. But I think we'll have some clarity by end of day tomorrow around when we'd be shooting for that first RC. But again, it's probably going to be late next week or the week thereafter.
Cool. And that's just a simple upgrade anyone can do whenever they please. There's no consensus impacts, anything like that.
That's correct.
Standards update. Cool. Any questions or comments on that topic? Maybe Randall, you can give an update on the survey you guys are preparing on the block logs splitting. might not be much to share there, but I know that you're about to, if not already, have sent out a new survey to get some feedback from the ENF. Maybe Randall can't speak right now. That's fine. So yeah, you can expect, if you're on the EOS Support mailing list, there's going to be a survey going out. If it hasn't already, I don't think it has, but it should be going out very soon.
Yeah, Daniel, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah, so we are working on blocks.log survey, which we'll possibly send out maybe today or tomorrow. I was waiting for translation. So the goal is to give this survey to developers so that they can let us know what project they are working on, if they need chunk blocks.log files, or if they have other ways that they want those files to be developed, right? So we are trying to get updates on that so that we can share with the ENF and the core team developers, so that they can come up with better ways to help them with their development of their project and how they store files. So we're going to be doing that hopefully today or tomorrow. Everything is done, just waiting for a last translation, and then we will send them out.
Is the English version in a state that's ready to share? Like, is there value maybe in sharing it with this group here? If there's anyone on this call who maybe can provide feedback, we can get that feedback rolling.
Yeah, I think it would be great. Do you have the link, or you want me to drop
I've got the link that you shared me, so I'll drop it in the chat here. So all that all you're waiting for to send the emails is the translated version of this, but in the meantime, the English one is good to go. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm dropping the link to that survey here. Make sure you check there's additional, maybe I'll actually link to the article too, which is linked in the survey. They both link to each other. Some more background in this second link I just posted in the chat. I'll make sure that's included in the summary as well. And yeah, feedback, looking for basically any node operators and block producers. So in addition to sharing it through the EOS Support newsletter, we can pass it around to the top 21 BPs, as we did with as we were getting their status, same kind of deal. So there we go. Any comments on that topic? All right. And then otherwise, we can, I don't know if we're at a state yet where we're ready to start talking about the next consensus upgrade. I don't know if Stephen has any insight into timelines or anything like that on what the plan is for the next consensus upgrade and what we need to be lining up for that.
Yeah, so I guess the bit of light I can shed on it right now is that what we've been discussing to date is kind of a March-April timeline, the scope of which is still being negotiated. Part of what's come into play there, which has been shared on this call in the past, is that some of our resources have been directed over towards closing out the Trust EVM project. So as a result of that, I don't think that we've got too many details to fill in just yet. But I think, quite frankly, over the next, I'd say 3 or so weeks, we're going to have a lot more clarity on what all we'll be able to prioritize inside of that. There's a number of large initiatives that we've broken ground on, but in terms of committing to an official timeline or anything, we've not done that yet.
Okay. The ballpark was perhaps looking in March, April and that's going to be 4.0.
The assumption at this time is that there will absolutely be at least one breaking change pushing us into 4.0 land. I'll just disclaim, just a CYA here, that if there's any chance that there's not a breaking change, there's an entire possibility that we may just go with the 3.3. I see that as highly, highly unlikely, though.
Okay, cool. Good to know. But yeah, at least we have a rough timeline to work towards. And I guess this won't be called Leap. Is that right? I guess we're getting a little ahead of ourselves on talking about the name and stuff like that. But
I will let marketing defer to that. I think that, I mean, the repo is always going to be called Leap.
Okay.
Whether it's Antelope, Leap something, or Antelope something, the repo is always going to be Leap. So
okay. So we can still refer to it as a Leap upgrade. Good. Okay. So
Stephen, I have a quick question. So Leap is basically the C++ implementation of the code, right? Because I think that's what I was getting, and I want to make sure that I'm not giving people the wrong impression here.
Yeah, so it's the implementation of the node software that they're going to be running, and it's the C++ implementation, just like how there can be multiple other implementations of it. And it's the implementation of the Antelope protocol.
Okay. So for us to change the name, we have to have something like a different program. Like let's say we have Rust, then that can be a different name, pretty much.
Yeah, again, this is kind of a place where we'll work to give clarity about the naming of future releases coming out of this C++ implementation. But quite frankly, I think if anyone else were to implement another node software implementation of this protocol, they would probably name it whatever they wanted to name it, because it would be kind of their baby, if that makes sense.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. And any tests? Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm a token 2049, so I was going to give you guys an update if you're interested.
Sure.
Wait till the end.
Yeah, no, let's hear it.
Yeah, so token 2049, it's in Singapore this week. It's 2 days this week, and it aligns with Singapore Blockchain Week. So there's 101 like Eventbrite, smaller event type thing is going on around the city. And today was the end of day one of the EOS Network Foundation sponsored with Trust EVM sponsored Token 2049 event. So we've got a stand and there's a Trust EVM stage. This morning we had Eve give the run through about how we broke away from block one, which was actually quite a good it was like a fireside chat, but it was pretty much Eve just kind of giving everybody the 101 of how far we've come over the year and, where we're going to go. It was quite positive. The conference is really big here. I think as far as crypto conferences go, this is the biggest that I've seen. They reckon 7,000 attendees. And there's got to be a couple of hundred exhibition like stands and stuff. It really is a lot. I've got 2 bags of swag. I've got so much swag. You would love it. But the stand is kind of shared EOS Network Foundation and the Trust EVM guys. The Trust EVM guys, I actually can't remember their names, but they seem to be getting a lot of questions. And then Eve, Zach, and Patty are in the stand. And I've been there with Tiago from Rio. We've kind of just been helping answering questions. But everybody's got the same ask of us, like, what's going on with EOS? Isn't it dead? Everything that we all heard. And I think we've definitely, as far as people at this conference, a lot of them have left thinking, oh, no, EOS is definitely doing something. We've got some nice statistics to share with them when they come past the stand on the speed of 800 swaps per second that we expected on the Trust EVM overlay. And I think overall it's a very positive conference so far. I was very surprised how many other layer ones there are out there. I can't even remember their names, man. They're the ones that are in like development that are launching, but they're not even based on anything that they just got their own plans. There's so many of them. but it's like a trade show for blockchain protocols. It's pretty much and exchanges. So there's tons of people here. And we got a nice spot and getting a lot of traffic and definitely a lot of interest in EOS and where we're going.
Very cool. Sounds like EOS is making a splash.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Eve was saying much bigger than the Seoul conference that just came from. But like so many people, and of course it's the Formula One going on at the moment. So the city has got all the streets closed off. It's like a nightmare to get from point A to point B, and there's just so many people in the city. It's bubbling here.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing your. Are you there? Right, you're not in the conference right now, are you? Or you're in your hotel?
The hall closed at like 5:30, and then it took me so long to get back to my hotel because I had to take a subway and everything was closed. And I'm just tired from standing, so it's going to be early night for me tonight. And we got dinner with all the guys from the stand tomorrow night, so that'll be nice. We can connect some more there, but yeah, we've definitely had some amazing conversations, and it's great to see some old faces.
Awesome. Well, make sure you say hi to the whole gang for us, and enjoy the rest of the conference there. Thanks for the report.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so we've got a rough date. We've got a good report from 2029. We've got a patch release. We've got the blocks.log survey going out now. And maybe I'm just kind of spitballing here. I think what we're going to do, speaking of maybe doing a post-mortem on this upgrade, I'll work with the team to prepare perhaps a little survey on how did the upgrade go, circulate it around. Maybe we'll give it a little time for this block log survey to get some traction. But would love to get feedback from the folks here, as well as, whoever else from the community who either participated or were impacted, how the upgrade went, and maybe we can gain some insights on ways to improve for the next one. Otherwise, are there any other topics we wanted to go over today? With this patch release, is there anything in particular we need to be looking out for? Anything we should be testing on the test nets? I wouldn't be surprised if Matthew's already upgraded us on mainnet.
Yeah, I think that the main thing that we would have been interested in some results around were in the patch release that came out last week. I think that Kevin had made that change that some people had already made an upgrade to with like their own version of a release related to the subjective billing and its use of a different like integer representation value. Kevin, is there anything that comes to mind for you that across these patch releases that people would be interested in or want to test? Nothing huge coming to mind for me.
In 3.2, where you mentioned in a couple weeks here, it does have the subjective three-strike rule applied to speculative nodes, which is a difference in behavior that certainly would be looking for feedback on. That can be, of course, enabled or disabled according to whether you have subjective billing enabled on your node. But I know at least in my testing on WAX, it made a huge difference on my speculative node CPU usage.
Right. And I guess just looking at the patch releases that are out right now, that's where I was speaking to there being maybe some notable difference as well. But is there anything else that comes to mind for you that people would want to look out for a test? I don't think that there's any big take homes that jump out at me.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we do think that we've got Tacomas taken care of for Michael, but if you run across one of those, certainly let us know.
I hadn't seen them recently, but I don't know. Everything's 3.1, but even the old 2.0 nodes haven't had a lot of comas. But yeah, I mean, at least so far so good.
And I'm looking at the validator, Matthew's validator. It does look like, yeah, the nation is already upgraded on mainnet to 3.1.1. And as far as I know, everything's running smoothly. So
yeah, we haven't gone all the way up yet across the board, but I know on a lot of different chains for a lot of different operators, they've already kind of rolled 3.1.1. Maybe they'll install a TCP/IP patch soon. Only the old fogies will get that.
Yeah, I guess one other thing that I'll mention, just since it was a discussion item yesterday for us, is whether we were going to do any sort of patch release for Dune. Historically, in these meetings, you may recall that we had to bump the version when we bumped the version of the other repos that it had dependencies on. We're just going to be waiting until we get out this 3.2 RC before we do any bumps there. People should be able to manage just fine, but just I guess covering bases there, you should not expect a patch release at this time for Dune.
Okay. All right. Unless there's anything else, that's all I have on my side for today. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you in a week.
Thanks, team.
Yes, Daniel.